In this video, we are going to cover the 4 pillars of value delivery. So value delivery is very important because you can have an amazing business, but if you cannot deliver the value properly, then you risk or you will surely lose clients. So this video is really critical, especially for people in service business, but also even product businesses to know what are the value, what are the principles do you use when you're designing a value stream, a value delivery framework for your business? Because at the end of the day, what you want is to have processes in place where your employees can run your business when you're not there. They know exactly, how to deliver the value. They know how to collect feedback from customers. They know how to make sure that even though the customers are not even though it's your first time interacting with the business, the employees know exactly what to do. But also, if you're watching this and you're a solo entrepreneur, it is also going to serve you a good deal, because you need to also know how to do it as the entrepreneur. Also, in terms of if you're operating as a solo entrepreneur, obviously today there are options where you can use AI to automate your value delivery, but still the principles that we are going to discuss here are going to be of great use. So without going further ado, let's dive right deep in. So let me share my screen and we start. So the 4 pillars of value delivery, from production to the hands of the customer. How is value delivery actually done properly as an entrepreneur? So this is a screenshot I took from one of the tools that we use at my company to consult businesses and build processes for them. So it's called the Startup Growth Infrastructure. So which shows us here on the screenshot, you can see that you have a pillar such as value stream, distribution channel, expectation, predictability. So these are the key 4 pillars of value stream. So we are going to do a deep dive and then, so that you get to understand what do those pillars mean and how can you actually implement them in your business. So there is a business professor called Michael Leboeuf. He said, a satisfied customer is the best business strategy of all. I was recently watching an amazing interview by one of the local founders of Wood Habitat, Paradis. She said something that is quite interesting. She said, during her journey of doing business, one of the most important things that allowed her business to survive is that for everything they were doing, the only thing that took the main seat on the table was the customer. So he gave an example of how some of her friends were business owners, but even though they were business owners, they were always in debt, borrowing from banks. And she talked about how some entrepreneurs can operate like that, but when the customer is the main actor, main character in the business, then it becomes very easy for the customers to actually take care of the business, because a business that is making money has, if no matter the problem that your business is facing, if the business is still making money, things are possible. So there are still possibilities. Now, for many entrepreneurs that I personally encountered, the challenge has always been that, we are not, making money, and we want to solve a given problem in the business that we are facing. Now, that is a tough problem, because if the money is not coming in, it's like saying, I want you to fix my body, but hey, the body is not even breathing. So it means we are now crossing the rivers of death or the afterlife. But what I want to say is that, to add to what, Michael Leboeuf said, is that you want to be in a position where every single strategy that you have in your business is built to improve the business. It's built to improve the customer experience, is built to improve the experience that the customer has when they're interacting with your business. There is an article that I wrote on, to the members of the newsletter that I write, and that article, it talks about how Uniqlo went on to become, one of the most successful fashion brands. It's a $22 billion dollar company today, started back in 1984. It was a company that the current CEO took over from the family. I'm going to put, by the way, in the description of the video, my newsletter so that you can go ahead and subscribe. And it talks about how Uniqlo were really obsessed about the customer experience, because when during the research that I did, it shows that what they wanted to do was not merely making a t-shirt or merely making a fleece. They wanted to make a t-shirt that is going to be utilized over a long period of time. And I think that's what usually customers need. What customers need is they want to buy something that is going to, first of all, accomplish what it's supposed to accomplish, but also it lasts longer, because you don't want to buy something and then after a short period of time, the maybe the t-shirt has stretched, the quality is lost. So what you want is clothes that actually last longer. And that's why, for instance, Uniqlo, it started as a fashion brand, but the way the current CEO describes it, they call it a tech company, because they went into fabric material science, fabric technology to understand. That's how they came up with it's called heat tech, I believe, to design fabrics that adapts to the heat, that doesn't cause the client who is wearing it to sweat. All of that are efforts, and they are traits of a company that is customer obsessed. So that's why a satisfied customer is the best business strategy. And I totally agree with the business professor, because I have personally experienced this in my long career of working with businesses, but also as a regular consumer, that I consume a lot of services and products. I interact with many businesses, and I've seen that the businesses that are always taking care of their customers, they don't go out of business. They tend to last longer. And the best research you can invest in, and this is really a critical conversation, because I was recently watching a video, and there was a client that was talking about how they had horrible service in the service industry, especially in Rwanda, in terms of the time that it takes to deliver the service, especially in restaurants, in hotels. And that is not a good thing to happen to a client, because for instance, there are businesses today that I no longer go to or fetch services from, because the time I tried to fetch services from them, they did not deliver to the extent that I wanted. And because of that, they have lost a customer forever. I will not recommend them. I will not interact with them ever. So no matter what they do, I don't care if they improve it, I won't know anyway. I would not know anyway if they did it. So that's why for customer experience, taking care of your customer is paramount. And that is why this video is very important. That's why the video you're about to watch, or what we'll cover in this video, is going to be one of the key pillars, actually the foundation of your business. Because in the first place, the reason why we create businesses is because we want to solve a problem in exchange for money. So if the one who has a problem is not happy with how you're solving it, then you're not going to make money. The business is not going to survive. We don't do business for the sake of making money, but it's impossible to survive without making money. It's like oxygen or or blood in the body. The body does not exist for blood only, but blood is one of the most important aspects of our biology as human beings. So it's very important for a business owner to be customer obsessed. And the best way to show that to actually show your customers that you care. And I believe that's actually what people want at the core of their being. They want to feel, they want to see that you care. Customers want to see that you care. And to show that you care, it shows in how much effort did you put to make sure that me as a customer of your business, I'm having the best experience possible. And that is shown in how the value is delivered. And that's what we'll be covering in this video. How the value is delivered depicts the effort that the business has put in the process in order to deliver amazing services. So when the customer sees it, they will be like, oh my God, this is really top notch. Imagine if you go to a restaurant or your coffee shop where you usually buy your coffee in the morning, and one day it's your birthday and you go buy coffee, and then someone brings the coffee with a happy birthday note on top of it. How are you going to feel? You're going to feel seen, you're going to feel valued, you're going to feel as if you matter for that business. And you actually do, because the only reason why they're open is because of you. You've bought from them, and because of you, they have been able to scale, they pay employees, and the business keeps existing. So as a business owner, and I know if you're watching this video, you are a business owner, you cannot ignore your customer. You cannot say, I will do everything except thinking of the customer. And the best way to show your customers that you care is how the value is delivered to them. Now, the number one pillar of value delivery is value stream. So what is a value stream? So a value stream encompasses all the steps involved from the initiation of value creation to the final delivery of the end product to the customer. It represents the combined processes of value creation and value delivery. To optimize efficiency, it's ideal to streamline and minimize the scope of your value stream. So the value stream is the A to Z of the way you deliver your services. From the moment I walk in on your shop or the moment I land on your website, all the way to the time where you're collecting my feedback and asking me, how was the service that we gave you? How was the tea? How was the clothes that we delivered to you? How was the consulting session that I delivered to you? And here, in case you are a consultant, or, did you enjoy using our software? So that's the value stream. It's the stream. It's a combination of steps that the customer takes when they're experiencing and interacting with your product or your service. So what you want is the idea is to streamline and minimize the scope of your value stream. So the scope of the value stream has to be minimized, in i.e., or in this case, from the moment I walk in your business, or I come across your business, to the moment I obtain the service that I want, or the moment I obtain the product that I'm looking for, the steps have to be short. If you're running an e-commerce platform, the moment I click to the product, to the moment I check out, and actually the process of the product being delivered to me, it has to be shortened. You have to shorten it. Similar to if you are in a service business, if you're running a restaurant, the moment I walk in to the moment I get my tea or my order comes, it has to be shortened. And actually, as an entrepreneur, what you want to be doing on a day-to-day basis is to keep optimizing your value stream, to make sure that the value stream, the steps are constantly cut down. The steps are constantly optimized to improve the experience that the customer has when they're actually shopping from you or when they're buying from you. Now, what does the process you use to create and deliver value to real paying customers look like? Can you diagram it? do the value creation and value delivery process fit together seamlessly? Now, most business owners, if you ask them today, okay, show me how the steps your customer right now, actually stop this video and take a pen and paper and write down the steps your customer take from the moment they come across your business to the moment they obtain the service or the product that you offer. How long does it take? How many steps does it take? How complicated is the process? The more complicated the process, the the more the downside for you, because you want the process to be shorter and more seamless. You want to make it easy for your customers to actually experience or obtain your product. So if you cannot, if the customer experience or the value delivery is not uniform across board, then the business is going to have challenges. So what you want is to make sure that the processes are well streamlined, they are shortened, they are optimized constantly so that the customer can experience the product with ease. So I want you to pause the video and go ahead and write it down and then see if the steps are usually more than 3 or 5, then there is a problem. You need to cut down so that it becomes easier. All right. So I hope you did the exercise and you were able to evaluate yourself. Now, let's continue. So one of the tip that I can give you, or the practical things you can do in terms of improving your value stream, is to measure your throughput. So unit over time. So throughput is the rate at which a system achieves its desired goal. It's the measure of effectiveness of your value stream. It's measured in the form of units and time. The higher the number of units and the lower the time, the higher the throughput. So throughput is it's a metric, it's a productivity metric. So what you are measuring with the throughput, you're measuring how many customers can I service in a given period of time? If you're running, I love giving examples of cafe because, I love coffee. I love, I'm always, so I work at cafes a lot and I interact with these services all the time, or, ordering food and so forth. So the amounts of customers, so the more customers you can serve in a shorter period of time, the higher the business is going to grow. The reason why Amazon is a multi-billion-dollar company, the reason why the likes of Netflix and Amazon and Apple and these subscription services, the reason why these are multi-billion-dollar companies and trillion-dollar companies in terms of market share, it's because of this metric called throughput. They can service billions of people at the same time in a split second, and they make money right away in real time. So if you can service 1,000 customers in 5 minutes, and the other business can in 5 minutes they can only service 2 customers, then there is a problem. And this is also one of the most important metric when we are discussing about scale. We discuss about scale extensively. I think if you follow my LinkedIn, also I'm going to attach my LinkedIn page down below. If you follow my LinkedIn, if you read my newsletter, we talk a lot about scale, because the whole purpose of building a business is to scale it. You don't want to be, unless maybe, again, scale is relative depending on how big you want your business to be. You might want the business to be smaller so that it becomes like a lifestyle business. You don't want to scale it out of proportion so that you keep control. But scale is throughput is very important in scale, because the more the business, the more you scale, the more customers you serve in a shorter period of time, the more the business gets scalable. The reason why software has minted millionaires and social media is because of, I'm producing this video once, but it's going to stay on the internet forever. So it means I can speak to millions of people once at the same time. So this video can be, not only is going to be watched over, 50 years, 100 years, forever, because it's on the internet, but it can also be watched by multiple people at the same time. So you are watching this video today, but there are also other people who are watching these videos right now while you're watching it. So the throughput, the social media throughput is actually very high because there is that element. Social media is scalable. These platforms are scalable. You can reach multiple people at the same time. So the question I want to ask you, I want you to ask yourself today in your business is, how is the throughput in my business looking like? You know, and usually the throughput is gets throughput gets low when, because the value stream is not properly designed. When the value stream is not properly streamlined, when you have those, lengthy processes from encountering your business to obtaining the service or the product, then it becomes a challenge for your business. So what you want is to constantly cut down the process so that the throughput can improve. So this is one of the building pillars of value stream that you need to think about. For you, if you want to practically improve your throughput, you need to think of the value stream. And what is a value stream? A value stream is a number of processes. If you're watching this and you run a software company, how long does it take for customers to actually, speaking of the value stream, how many steps do customers take to start using your products or service? Do you put them in? I was using a product recently, and they had to ask me to their value stream was a bit lengthy unnecessarily, because I had to log in with my email, and then I had to rescan again, and then I have to improve. And then I told the guy who was on the counter, I told him, look, you need to tell these people to actually allow me to scan the QR code, get a Momo pop-up, and then I pay, and then I'm done. Okay, so that should be enough. So that way, because the more friction you put in between the time I come across your product to the time I experience it, the more friction there is in between, then the higher the chance for me to drop off, what we call churn or incompleted orders, stuff like that. So you need to be in a position where you need to put your customers in a position where they don't have to go through all that hardship. And then again, and that is going to improve the throughput. So that way, because you are not only going to shorten the process, but you're also going to potentially improve your throughput, because now more people are going to come, either through recommendations, either through reputation, because the business has already built that momentum of a reputation of delivering their services with ease. I think the easiness of accessing a product or a service is one of the most underrated products or service. Have you ever purchased something and then you say, oh my God, it was really easy. It was actually very easy. Their processes are actually very simple. So you need to make it very, very, very simple for people to access your product. That way, the throughput is going to increase, because if you have built that reputation, then people are going to keep coming for that very service. Now, beware of accumulation. Accumulation is about small, helpful or harmful inputs and behaviors that produce huge results over time. I mean, this is very common for businesses. So, we're talking about value stream. And sometimes you might say, I need to add more processes in the value stream, or I need to remove them. So beware of accumulation. Accumulation is those things that are, negative or helpful. They could be negative or positive, but every excess is not good. Every excess is not good. But I would say accumulation usually hurt businesses on the harmful side more than the helpful side. I'll give you an example. If your business starts building a reputation that they don't deliver services properly, I let's say someone says, oh, I was there last night, not good experience. Oh, my cousin was also there. Oh my God, you also experienced that? And then by the time you realize there is a group of people of 20, 35, 50 people that are saying the same thing. That is not good for business because that is accumulation of resented customers and happy customers. So my recommendation is that I always say there is a, so I was on, so I was, on a trip in Dubai, and we went to this shop called Boots. So Boots is like the British version of Sephora. So basically, it's a shopping platform for all kinds of makeup brands. So we were buying some products there, and then when we exited, they asked us to actually give them feedback on the door after purchasing. That is a trait or a sign of a business that actually cares about accumulation, that are aware that accumulation can actually kill a business. Literally, it can affect customers over a long period of time because, compounding is compounding is the eighth wonder of the world. And I see this happening, in businesses. Do you have a restaurant and you were serving customers, and then customers start being resented? So what you want is to make sure that you capture that when things are still warm, when customers are still complaining, because there's a time where customers will stop complaining. And actually, customers, when you think about it, customers complain because they care about your business. That's why they complain. They complain because they care about your business. And when you understand that, then it becomes very easy to actually collect feedback and take feedback and improve the business. It's really a good practice to have in the business, but also incorporate in the DNA of your team, of your employees. Okay. So don't get distracted by competition. This is another tip in terms of when speaking of value stream. So improving your value stream enhances your efficiency, making it harder for competitors to keep up. By delivering value effectively, you create a stronger position that's difficult for others to replicate, increasing your competitive advantage with every benefit and customer served. So you have to aim for the level where when someone interacts with your business, they just have to interact with your business once. They will never leave again. That's what you should aim for as a business owner. You say, I just want you to work with me once. You will never leave. So that's how retention is actually very powerful, because you're building what we call lifetime value. You're building customer loyalty. You can upsell customers. You will keep. So you're building a community of customers, a community of people that will take care of your business. Because remember, customers will take care of your business. These are the people who make sure that you don't close door. They make sure that you pay your bills, put food on the table, take care of your loved ones. So don't get distracted by competition. Competition is there, but make sure that whoever leads and comes to your business, they will never leave. Yeah. So that's what, as a business owner, you should aim for. The competition will always be there. Actually, I would actually go ahead and even even go beyond and say that competition is not a bad thing, because I've been part of so many startup competition, SME competition. And when they are pitching, the first thing we ask them when they finish pitching is, tell us more about the competition. The reason why investors ask that question is not because they want to see that you don't have any competition. They just actually want to see if you are operating in an industry when where there is competition, is actually a good thing. It means that industry has money. There's opportunities there. That's why everyone is going in. Now, the only thing you just have to have is, what is your difference? What makes you unique? Actually, uniqueness might not even be in the products and services. Sometimes when we talk about, building a unique, a competitive advantage, we tend to think that it's going to come from the products or the services that you're offering. But actually, in actual sense, I can start a similar coffee shop, I can start a similar garage, I can start a similar school, but the experience, the value stream, with the way the customers that comes to my business experience the same service that you offer is actually going to make a whole difference. That's why people flock for a given business. Yet they sell the same thing. They sell the same thing, but the experience, the value stream, the way I experience their products and service is utterly different. If I was an investor and I have two companies that are pitching me a business, and one company says, this for me, I have competition, but this is the way I'm going to compete with these people is by offering a better product. That's good, but it's not as impressive as someone who says, oh, we're actually offering the same thing. The difference is how we offer them. The value stream. The value stream is one of those underrated modes that very few people talk about. There's nothing that beats a an experience that is top notch from a business, where you experience something and you say, oh my God, this was one of the best services. It's the same dry cleaner. It's the same, you know, it's the same car wash. It's the same garage, but the way they treated you, the way the service was delivered, that's what makes a difference. I would go out and say the best way to beat your competition is in value delivery. You can actually copy a business. Actually, that's one of the things you could do in Rwanda. If you're watching this business and you want to do business in Rwanda or in Africa in general, because most businesses suck at value delivery and customer experience, you can actually start an identical business. And the only thing you're going to improve or the only thing you're going to do different is the value stream, the customer experience, the way the product is experienced from your business. That is a serious, a legitimate competitive advantage. Maybe give it a try. Give it a try. But it's really good, and it's one of those things that are unheard of, that are not talked about. But nothing beats a good customer experience. And sometimes I think the reason why we don't think about it often is because it's also because we have not experienced it. Someone can get a hotel next to yours, and the experience they're giving their customers is actually way better, that you are not going to even think of uh, uh, going to another hotel because of how the experience was delivered. So give it a try. This is one of those interesting tips that very few people don't capitalize on enough. So then there is triage. So triage is the process of prioritizing the most critical task first, while less urgent ones are deferred. So some tasks are more important, valuable, time sensitive than the others. So triage helps you focus on your most important tasks. So this is, when it comes to actually delivering the value. So what you want is to make sure that even though those are processes that you are trying to streamline, you make sure that there is there's no unnecessary processes that you have in your business. So what you want is to remove those that are not important and then remain with those that are important. So that's what triage is about. All right. So the second pillar of value delivery is distribution. So distribution channels. A distribution channel describes how your offer will be delivered to the end user. So there are two primary distribution channels: direct to user and intermediary distribution. So if you work with multiple channels, you need to make sure that they are representing your business well. So, I mean, this is when, you're running a business and, you have a third party that does delivery. You have a delivery partner. You have to make sure that they deliver it properly, because I saw a video on TikTok from one of the creators here in Rwanda. She was talking about how she went to this milk selling business, and she experienced horrible customer care. she had like a horrible experience. And she was talking about how most business owners, they actually hire employees, and these are delivery partners actually. They hire employees, but the employees have not yet embodied the the DNA of the cast or the DNA of the company. So basically, so the founder is scaling, but you give your employees the responsibility to go ahead and interact with the customers, but they have not yet actually embodied that. So they cause you to lose business. And that happens at the employee level, but also at the partner level. So make sure that if you have distribution partners, they actually know, they have been trained into the system of how you deliver your products and services. So there are factors to consider when you are designing your distribution channels. Number one is duplication. So duplication is the ability to consistently replicate something of value. So by efficiently duplicating your offer, you can scale it quickly and cost effectively, making it more accessible. To build something that operates independently of you, mastering duplication is essential. If your direct involvement is required for every customer, your capacity to serve them will always be limited. I rest my case. This is what we were talking about. For every system to be scalable, there has to be duplication. And this applies to, even though you have a software business, you will always need someone who takes care of your customers on a one-on-one basis. There are some accounts that are going to be high-end accounts that are going to need special care, and duplication is going to be one of the discussion you're talking about. So how do you duplicate yourself as a business owner? And we've discussed this extensively during the past videos that are on the channel, but I'm also going to do more videos on systems to understand why systems are very important. But when you're talking about the duplication in business, you're essentially talking about uh, business systems, because duplication means something has been set, you've set it, and you're giving it to someone else to actually do what you do. And it's impossible to do that if you don't have documented processes. And there is no way to talk about scalability in business. There is no way to talk about growing a business without talking about systems. It's impossible. And what are systems? A collection of steps and processes that has to be followed over and over and over and over again. And when those processes are not written and you hire a new employee, what are they going to do if they're not documented? So they need to be documented so that by the time they start operating them, they know exactly what they're doing, when they're doing it, and how their performances are going to be measured, and how they're going to be held accountable. Number two is multiplication. Multiplication is the replication of an entire process or a system. A single business has a production limit, but by replicating a successful model, it can scale and serve more customers. Remember, the whole point of building a business is to scale it. You can either scale it using humans or software. Today, we have agentic AI. There are so many ways, but even AI needs to be trained. And you can't train an AI or a human if you don't have documented processes. So multiplication is the key difference between small businesses and large enterprises. The reason why the difference between an SME and an enterprise is processes. One has processes, another one doesn't have processes. SMEs are founder focused. Enterprises are system focused. That's the main difference. Most of the time, we tend to complicate things. And I always say that SME is not an identity. It's a level. It's a phase. It's a stage. You have to graduate it. How do you graduate from SME to all the way to enterprise? Systems. And once that system is in place, then you can because a system is a collection of steps, or a system is how you do things. You can teach 10 people how to do things, 20 people how to do things, 30 people how to do things, 40 how to do the same thing over and over and over and over again. And that is the heart of scaling. There's a friend of mine who asked me recently, Willie, why do Americans scale companies easily? How do they do it? Why are Americans or Europeans or Westerners, even some African entrepreneurs, why do they scale businesses with ease? Why are they good at it? My answer was very simple. They are, when they build the business, they build the business thinking of systems. You know, the founder might start, they're doing everything, but the goal in mind always is how can I systemize everything that I do so that I remove myself from the picture, bring in someone else so that they can keep running the machine while I go out there and scale and build more businesses and bring in more customers. So multiplication that's the heart, the essence of multiplication. Number three is scale. Scale is the ability to consistently replicate or expand the process as demand grows. So that's it. That's it. If there is a way you do something, to scale it is to do it multiple times. The best way to scale a business is not to start multiple businesses. No, it's to do that same thing multiple times. So which means the way it is supposed to be done has to be documented so that you bring in other people to keep doing what you were doing. So what you were doing will keep being done, but not by you. So the scalability of a business depends on how much human involvement is required. The less manual input needed, the greater the potential for growth and production. So it has to go in the psyche of your employees so that they know exactly what to do, when to do it without your direct involvement. If your business still needs your direct involvement, then there is still work to be done on your end, okay? Amplification. So amplification occurs when a small change in a scalable system produces significant results. To support amplification opportunities, focus on areas where duplication or multiplication is happening. You see, the bigger the system, the greater the impact for even minor adjustment. Okay, so this is what essentially we're talking about. Okay, so force multipliers. So force multipliers are like leverage. Remember, we are talking about value delivery, and what we want, the purpose of value delivery, the reason why we are even talking about value delivery is because we want to scale our businesses. You want your business to reach more people, to make more money, to reach more customers, to solve the same problem for more people. And these force multipliers are tools that enhance effort, increasing output with the same level of input, like a hammer improving efficiency. Investing in force multipliers allows you to accomplish more without extra effort. That's what you want. Because the more the business grow, you should actually, as a founder, you should do less. This is something that most entrepreneurs are not ready for, because you thought for you to, as the more the business grows, you have to do more. No, you have to actually do less, because you should be investing in force multipliers. The best use of debt or outside capital is to gain access to force multipliers that wouldn't be available otherwise. So one of the force multipliers, the examples are capital, software, technology, people. That's what it's supposed to be. If as a founder, the business is growing, but you're now more busier than ever, then there is a problem. There's a problem. Your business is not scaling. You're actually trapped in the business. So that's why the next thing you should do after proving your market, after validating your product and services, it means you have products and services that people are buying, you're collecting feedback, things are moving forward. The next thing you have to do is to document everything that is working, bring in someone else to work it while you go out there and lead the business, build the business, push the business forward. Think of the next frontier. Because otherwise, if you get trapped in the business, then it becomes a problem. So that's how scale happens. Scale happens when I see this all the time. Businesses are not leveraging force multipliers. And A force multiplier is something that multiplies the forces that are existing. And to do that, you need these leverages. Could be debt, could be capital, it could be, everything that you can think of. But what I want you to get out of this is that the more your business grows, if your business is growing, you should be less busier. If you're doing it right, you should bring in employees, you should bring in systems, you should bring in softwares to actually handle it. Because if the business is growing, it means money is coming in. So what you should be doing is to actually put in place systems so that you can distance yourself to rest, to recover, to think, to dream, to lead the business. Okay? That's the mindset. Number 3 is expectation. We cannot talk about value delivery without thinking of expectation, because all I've been discussing since the beginning of this video is expectation. Okay? So customers are expectant. There's something customers are expecting from your business, and with good reasons. Of course, they're expecting something. What are you saying? Of course, they're expecting something. If there is an expectation I have if I'm interacting with your business. There's surely something I'm expecting to get from your business. There's something I'm expecting to deliver, to derive from interacting with your business. So a customer's perception of quality is shaped by their expectations and the actual performance of a product or service. To ensure satisfaction, performance must exceed expectation. When you constantly deliver more than expected, customers perceive greater value, so strive to create experiences that pleasantly surprises them. So you want to always surprise your customer. When I was starting, I was saying the same thing. You can have the same business as the folks next to you, but the way you deliver it, it makes a whole different experience. Humans are emotional beings, by the way. I don't care what you say. You might say I'm not emotional and everything, but not every single person on this face of the earth, face of this planet, that does not like to be made feel good. People want to feel good. People want to feel good. And a business that makes you feel good, one of the most profitable businesses in the world are connected to feelings. Talking about movies, talking about music, talking about sport, entertainment. So the business of feelings. So as a business owner, you have to remember that it's not about the product you deliver. It's how you make the customer that receives your product or service, how you make them feel. Do they feel seen? Do they feel cared for? Do they feel pampered, even pampered? Yes, you have to pamper your customers. You have to make them feel like we really care about you. And that expectation is there. And whoever is going to exceed it is the guy that will remain in business. So a few factors to consider when you're working on your customer satisfaction. Number 1 is quality. In the broader sense is, fitness for purpose. Does the offer deliver the intended benefits, and is it suitable for use in the intended environment? Quality, 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 quality. And I would even add another one is consistent quality, consistently delivering quality. There is a reason why McDonald's sells one type of product, burgers. Kentucky Fried Chicken. They might sell it in a different form and size and, tweaks, seasonings and everything, but it's a burger company. And the best way to actually ensure quality is to reduce the number of products that you sell. You don't need to sell everything. You can take one product and you sell it really, really, really well. Top-notch businesses that sell, I'll give you an example. For instance, Apple for a very long time, they have been the best device company that I've ever used. I've used a number of phones, but I've, an iPhone is it's an exquisite experience. Their devices work so perfect. It's really good. But look at them when they were trying to branch into AI and design chatbot. No, they did not succeed. And now they have regressed back in hardware. Now they're going to do AI physical infrastructure for AI, because they know that they're very good at they're very good in hardware. So they stay in their lane. If you use tailors, there are some tailors that are going to tell you, look, we don't do women's suit, we don't do kids suit, we do adult male suits. That's what we do. And that's actually the only way to ensure quality, especially if you're starting. If you're a corporation, maybe you could, have multiple branches, and now you can afford to invest in more staff and training and all of that. But I would rather have one product that works really well. And I see this all the time with, shops, with service providers in Rwanda, across Africa. You're selling a lot of products, but you don't have the bandwidth for it to invest in the proper experience for the customer. And then consequently, it actually affects the quality. You're doing everything, but you don't need to do everything. Actually, for a business to grow, you don't need to do everything. You just need to deliver what you deliver well, and then you're good to go. Number two, quality signals. When performance isn't easily visible or measurable, quality signals offer reassurance that the product or service is delivering as expected. These signals are intentionally designed elements that enhances the user perception of quality in a clear and tangible way. Quality signals might be the place where the business is based. If you've ever visited these perfume shops, luxury shops, and you will enter, and even the scent of the store gives you quality vibe, high quality, high-end vibe. Okay, because of the music, because of the scent, because of how someone who is receiving you, if I'm sure if you're watching this, you've probably been at high-end restaurants, 5-star restaurants. You see how the servers look, how they're dressed, how the place is decorated, how the place smells, the vibe, the people sitting. Some restaurants have even dress codes. Those are quality signals. They're not part of the services, but they're there to signal that you've entered a high quality, high-end business. So that might mean that you need to invest probably in a good website. That might mean that you need to invest in an assistant that is smart, that is going to interact with your customers and the way they speak to the customers, the way they speak to people, all of that. Those are quality signals. And trust me, they're worth the investment. It might even be how you look, how you look when you're going for that meeting. Do you look like someone who is there to close a multi-million contract? How is your social media presented? Those are quality signals. If things are shabby, my brain is going to go in a mode of protective mode. I need to protect my money, because I don't know if this guy, from the way things look like, I'm not sure if they're going to deliver the value that they're actually supposed to deliver. Okay, very important. So quality signals include reputation, what people hear about your business. I might browse your name before that business meeting. What am I going to see on social media, on Google? If I randomly Google your name, what am I going to see? If I randomly Google your business, what am I going to see? Branding. I was talking about it. Social proof, price, packaging, very important. Oh my God, packaging, very important. If you've ever, speaking of Apple products, have you seen how the packaging is? Sometimes I even feel bad when I throw away the cartons. That's how good it is. You know, so, I was watching a video recently, and they were talking about how Apple hires designers, product designers, to design the the customer experience of unboxing the product. Unboxing Apple products is an experience itself. Can you imagine that level of meticulousness, that customer experience obsession, certification credentials, especially if you are a service provider? People are going to go on your LinkedIn and see, let's see where this guy has been. Expert endorsement, very important. Consistency. Oh, this is so good. Consistency. I go on your your LinkedIn profile, I go on your YouTube, and then I see how consistent has this person been in terms of delivering whatever they're delivering. How long have they been there? Transparency, longevity, innovation, customer support, guarantees and warranties. Very important. All of these are quality signals. And every single brand that you respect, that you've ever interacted with, they have all of this, or majority of this, depending on industry and sectors. Reorganization. So reorganization occurs when a reference level is disrupted, but there is no clear way to restore balance. This often happens when people feel dissatisfied with their jobs or experience quarter life crisis. They sense something is wrong, but struggle to identify the cause or solution. I think reorganization is very important because when it's also part of the feedback culture. If there is something that is not working, you need to readjust things. It's all about the value stream. The value stream is not set in stone. It has to be catered for the customer's needs. And this is the mindset we should go out there in the market with. We are not there to impose our services and products to the marketplace. Yes, we have skills, but those skills have to be packaged in the way that it solves the actual problem in the marketplace. That's why reorganization is very important. The last but not least is pillar number 4, which is predictability. Very important. One of the most annoying things about restaurants in Kigali is predictability. You never know. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Like the meme on the internet, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. You buy samosa here, perfect. You go home, next day you go at work and then you tell your friends, my God, I ate samosas yesterday. They were amazing. You should try them out. They order the next day, completely different. And the reason why predictability is a huge challenge for SMEs or for most startups. It's because your processes are not documented yet. The only way for something to be predictable is when they are done in a specific way, in a precise way, over and over and over again. If something is not done the same way over and over again, and if your employees don't know how to do it over and over again, it means the processes are not documented. It means whoever made that samosa did not write down how they made it. So which means actually the rest most SMEs should be running is the rest of validation of the customer. So you keep reorganization, implementation, and then you test, you validate, and then you set. You test, you validate, you set. And then up until you have something that is predictable, that is consistent, that is reliable. So that because I'll give you an example. If you test a McDonald's in Rwanda, it will be the same McDonald's in China, similar to KFC, similar to Krispy Kreme. All of these brands that we respect, they have the same taste all over the world. You know why? They're predictable because their systems are written. Okay? So this is what predictability means. Unexpected surprises are only good as long as you provide what the customer is looking for. Very, very important. So if you could take one thing away from this video, let that be this. Value delivery is all about reducing the steps, from the time when the customer is encountering your business all the way to when they experience your product. But also, in addition to that, one more thing, the most important thing, make sure that your services are reliable and predictable. I can predict that when I come and drink your coffee, it will be top notch. I can guarantee that if I work with you, it will be top notch. I can guarantee that. This is why when a founder is successful and they start another business, that business takes half of the time it took the first one to scale and reach, whichever level the first one reached. Because that element of predictability, reliability, reputation, it's already there, because people say whatever this person touches, I know it's going to thrive. So thank you very much for listening. I hope you really derived serious value in this video, and I will see you in the next one. And don't forget to subscribe, like, share this, very important, with your network. And I will see you in the next one. Thank you very much.